Grab your drinks, preheat your ovens. It's time for Chuckin Muffins. We're back with the podcast. This is a Christmas edition of the podcast. Christmas is a couple days from recording this, so once you guys see this, hope you guys have a Merry Christmas because we're not going to be uploading before Christmas again. So hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and everything. Uh, Eddie, what's the matter today, man? You look a little sad.
Ben Roethlisberger just cost me my ticket to the finals, my fantasy football league.
How did he do that?
I needed 13 points. James Conner said he's not playing today. Then Ben Roethlisberger had to drop 13 points, which is nothing for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do it because he's bad at football, and he needs to be kicked out of the league and then put in prison.
Segueing from that, you know what is not bad? The NHL season starting up. So segueing into that, been released that the NHL is officially back. The CBA and the NHL came to an agreement on a 56-game season starting January 13th. So that's official. Also official, training camp starts January 3rd, and for non-playoff teams, it starts January 31st. So the NHL said, I think a couple weeks ago, honestly, maybe a couple months ago, that the teams that didn't make the play-in, which were, I know San Jose was one of them, they would have more time to get ready for next season. So they get a couple days, 4 days in advance. So they get a little more time to prep. So also for training camp, you're allowed to have 36 skaters and unlimited amount of goalies. And there's also no preseason games this season. So what do you think about, especially the no preseason games part? I thought that was kind of interesting.
I guess it makes sense because it's limiting travel more. Nobody really fucking liked preseason anyway. Like realistically, like everyone thought it was stupid. So I guess it's just necessary regardless of what you thought of preseason because of travel limitations.
I thought it was kind of cool. We got to see the younger players play, players that usually aren't on the roster. The younger kids get to come in, see what they're worth. But besides that, it's really no big deal. The superstars really never played. And once again, you said limit travel, limit spread of the virus. And yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So also, division names were announced for the new division. So the All-Canadian division will be called the North Division. I'd say like the revamped Metro with Boston, Buffalo, the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Flyers, the Penguins, and the Capitals. We call it the East Division. I'd say like a mix of some East and West teams. We got Carolina, Chicago, Columbus, Detroit, Florida, Dallas, Nashville, and Tampa. That'll be called the Central Division. And the new Western Division, which is basically mostly West teams. We got Anaheim, Arizona, Minnesota, LA, Vegas, San Jose, and St. Louis. So those are new division names. So I first heard of it today, so I figured I'd share it with you guys. So with these new divisions, these teams that are in the division, they will only play each other, which we thought was going to happen, but weren't exactly sure. So in the Canadian division, they'll play each other 9 to 10 times, and the other division, they'll play each other 8. How do you think that's going to stack up towards next season and the standings and everything?
I don't think that's a very good idea, to be honest.
I agree. I feel like it was necessary, though, in a way. Limits travel.
In that sense, yeah, but like I'm just curious as to what happens. Is there just 4 separate championships? Like, are all the teams competing for their conference championships? Like, is there no Stanley Cup this year? Like, I don't.
No, there's most definitely a Stanley Cup awarded. I feel like it's definitely going to be weird. I don't know how I like it. Because say in the Stanley Cup Finals, those teams could have they're not going to play each other till the Stanley Cup Final. So they're going to have no idea basically how they've played besides like watching them in person or on TV. So I guess maybe it increases the competition. I don't see how that really helps though, besides, preventing spread of the virus, which I guess is most important, even though there's a vaccine out now. But
yeah, but that vaccine specifically because NHL players fall into the category that's getting it last. Like you and me are in the same. This is the only time we're going to be the same category as NHL players, as we are not elderly, and we don't have pre-existing ailments. So,
yeah, I guess it does make sense, but I don't know. But like the Canadian team, like division, take that for example. Like Ottawa is going to be like a scapegoat in this division.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're going to get fucked over. Look at the Central Division. Detroit, they're going to get fucked over. Not necessarily saying that we're going to do anything, but they're going to be like, they're going to have teams that have played them multiple times that know their weaknesses. But then again, it could fall into it could help a team like Detroit. because maybe they've played a Carolina, Chicago, Columbus. They've played them 5 or 6 times. So they know they're like, okay, so Chicago doesn't have a goalie, Dallas, their forward depth's weak, like, etc. So they can maybe take advantage of a situation like that. But I don't know. It's going to be weird. Most definitely going to be weird because, the Sharks and the Rangers, they're not going to play next season. So that's going to suck.
I've also heard that teams are going to be playing like almost like they do this in baseball, I think. I'm not really sure. Where it's a regular season series where a team, like say it's the Rangers and Islanders, for example, because they're in the same division, they play games in increments of 2. So it's going to be Rangers versus Islanders. Then next game is going to be Rangers versus Islanders. And then
That would make sense, honestly,
yeah,
especially for like, say in the West Division, we got Anaheim and Colorado. Figure if Anaheim would go out to Colorado, they probably play them twice instead of, playing them once and then traveling back to Anaheim or like something like that, or traveling to another city or whatever. So figure you get the games done quicker and more condensed, which I guess kind of makes sense. So, because basically what the NHL is doing, they're trying to get the season done in the most efficient way where COVID spread the least amount as possible. And I mean, what they've done now isn't horrible. I'm gonna be honest. I'm personally not a fan of it, but it is what it is. You got to live with it. But uh, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, so some teams that a little are unsure about where they could be possibly playing next season. So we have some Canadian teams, including the Canucks, the Leafs, the Senators, and the Canadians. So they aren't signed off to play at home yet. Like they're unable to play home games as of right now. If an agreement isn't reached soon or at all, we could see them playing in a hybrid bubble somewhere, maybe in Edmonton or the US. What are your thoughts on that?
um, I don't really know, like, cause there's so much like fucking shit to fucking worry about now. Like, uh, I sincerely couldn't tell you. Like, there's like so many fucking ways to go about it, and like all of them are right in some ways and
Mhm.
wrong in other ways.
You
Like,
know
I
what
don't.
I think? I think if the Canadian teams can't play in Canada, I think we should scramble up the divisions again. Because what's the point of having an all Canadian team division if they're not going to stay in Canada? If they're just going to play in the U.S., why not have them in a division?
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So I like even if say what of the other 3 teams, what was Winnipeg, I don't even know, Calgary and whoever else. So say they can play in Canada, but the other 4 teams can't. What's the point of that? I say we just if that's the case, I say we get every team in the U.S. and we'll just find an arena, maybe like Kansas. I've seen them around. Fucking I'm sure there's some place in Connecticut. Hartford used to play there, so figures maybe some place out there. I'm just throwing around places, but I know Kansas has been a real option. There's definitely arenas out there. They could always share an arena, maybe playing like a bubble sort of situation, but I don't know how it's going to work. It's basically all speculating. But something that isn't speculating is that San Jose Sharks will have training camp in Scottsdale, Arizona. So Santa Clara it's the county the Sharks play in. They have a county ban on contact sports through January 8th. So San Jose is going to be in Arizona for training camp, but not sure about the future yet with them. So more to come on that. We'll report it when it comes out. The NHL is not banning fans at the games this season, something I figure many people were wondering. So far, Dallas, Florida, and Arizona. I figured Tampa's going to be in there as well. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'd figure definitely those 3, probably those 4 teams will have fans, which is what's great to hear. You want to see fans back in the stadiums. And one thing that has kind of gone under the radar a little recently, NHL, they actually confirmed that teams can put advertisements on the helmets of players next season. What are your thoughts on that actually being confirmed?
Yeah, we talked about it a little while ago. Like it's kind of a necessary evil, which I personally don't like it, but it's 10 times better than advertisements on jerseys.
100%. And it's only for 1 year as well. It's
Yeah,
not a
so
it's only for 1 year.
nothing to
Figure
worry about.
it's basically so teams can make up revenue that they lost next season. They're going to lose last season and this season on no ticket sales, no concessions, nothing like that. They're going to lose all that revenue. So I guess figure a way to make up some of it. Probably not all of it, but hey, it's going to do a little bit. And it'd be kind of cool. I saw something on Twitter where it was Sidney Crosby with the Pampers logo on his helmet. I thought that was pretty funny. Like there's a lot of creative things out there that some teams can do. So we could see some cool sponsors for advertising in the NHL, which is always great. Uh, Another thing, taxi squads. So NHL is allowing taxi squads for this season. So it's basically 4 to 6 players that are making full AHL salary that can play in the NHL if need be. Say like, a David Ayres situation happens again. That won't happen. We'll have a taxi squad goalie that can come in, play, be the third goalie that travels with the team, and some other forwards just in case, COVID and everything, say they're on a road trip, players come in contact, figure they can throw those players in there just in case, or God forbid, they can cancel or postpone the games, and those players will not count towards the NHL salary cap, which is good for some teams that are cap strapped and have no cap space. Also, opt-out deadlines. So if NHL players don't feel comfortable playing this season and would want to opt out, you can do that. So for non-playoff teams that are starting December 31st, like the Sharks, the Devils, the Senators, Detroit, whoever else is in there, it's December 24th. And for playoff teams, it's December 27th. So we've heard of no players that have opted out to this point. And I saw a report saying 23 teams have not heard or have confirmed that no players have opted out so far. So we have that. And some notable dates for next season. We have the trade deadline, April 12th. We have the expansion draft. What's that? July 21st. We have the 2021 NHL entry draft. We have that July 23rd and through 24th. And we have the free agency period starting July 28th. So that was basically a quick sum up of everything that's happened recently. Do you have anything you want to comment on? Anything you want to add? Any questions or anything?
All the cool shit's happening around my birthday, which is pretty fun.
No, okay. Yeah, that actually is cool. So, expansion draft literally right before your birthday.
Wait, when's the expansion draft date again?
21st. Right after.
I was about to have my feelings hurt that you didn't know my birthday.
Right after. Don't worry. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so that's cool. Little update on everything happening. Hopefully we'll see some more news recent coming out soon. So we'll touch on that whenever it happens. And for the main part in this episode, as we touched on, Christmas is in a couple days. Some of these NHL teams, they have Christmas wish lists. And since they didn't make them, we made them for them. So we're going to touch on that now. So figure we'll start in alphabetical order because that's the way I wrote it on my list. So we got the Anaheim Ducks. So the Anaheim Ducks, on their wish list, we thought they need defense. So the Anaheim Ducks, they have, off the top of my head, they got Fowler, they got Lindholm, they got Shattenkirk, they got a couple of the younger guys in there, but they really don't have that big, defender that could shut down, that could, basically help John Gibson out is what that guy needs most. Do you have any comments on it? Don't have anything to add?
Like, you're right. Like, they got Fowler, Lindholm, Manson, and now Shattenkirk.
Oh, Manson, that's who I forgot, Manson.
They're good in everything, but they just don't have that guy.
Yeah, they don't have that, Cale Makar. They don't have that Quinn Hughes. They don't have that young stud that can come in. And, I mean, they did draft Drysdale, so we'll see what he can become. But figure they need a defenseman ready in the NHL now if they want to have any chance of competing in the playoffs this season. So that's what we think Anaheim would have on their Christmas wish list. So next team on our list is the Arizona Coyotes. And the main problem the Arizona Coyotes had last year is their inability to score goals. Their goaltending was fantastic last season, best part of the team. Defense was, I'd say, pretty decent. They had pretty decent season, I'd say. But their forward core, they just could not put the puck in the net. Who do you think's a forward that maybe they can go after? They got some options in free agency or even trading to go after.
I mean, if we're talking about free agency, they only got Hoffman off the top of my head.
Kyla's out there. I know that. Duclair just went. Duclair would have been actually a pretty decent fit back in Arizona.
Yeah, but that would also require a GM to realize that, which he clearly didn't.
Hold up. Who even is the Coyotes GM right now? Is it
Bill Armstrong?
Bill Armstrong. Okay. So, yeah, we'll see what he can do this season. Hopefully he can. I don't even think Shaker was doing that bad of a job in Arizona, honestly. It's just kind of shitty the way it went down. But is what it is. Hopefully he can grab that forward that we thought it was going to be Phil Kessel, honestly.
Phil's regressed immensely.
No, man. Is it Arizona or is it Phil, though? Like,
he's 33. It kind of happens. I mean, some would say it's an early age to start kind of declining, but, sometimes it happens. Some players decline before they even reach 30, so.
No, yeah, you're right. So hopefully they could pick up someone that could put the puck in the back of the net for them next season. Moving on to next team on this list, we have the Boston Bruins. If you look at the Boston Bruins lineup, look at the forward core, okay, pretty good forward core, pretty good forward core. Look at the defense from last year. Oh, okay, that's pretty good, pretty good. Look at the defense now for this year. Oh, ouch. So Boston, they definitely need to add a defender, whether it's Zdeno Chara, whether it's Travis Hamonic, whether it's someone else out there, anyone from a trade, they need to add a defender. Do you think they can add a defender by the start of next season?
If they do, it's not going to be anyone that good. I mean, they had a chance to get Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I'm not really sure why they didn't really go after him. Or I'm sorry, they probably did, but Arizona, they really wanted a lot.
I could see maybe the age and the term left on OEL's deal being a bit of a concern. Even the cap hit to that deal. I don't think Oliver Ekman-Larsson's worth $8 million. I feel like it's, he's a little like, oh, sorry, I went for it. He really doesn't have anyone else in Arizona to like, I don't really know what I'm going here, but like overshadow him. Like there's no one else really there. So I feel like he's a little bit better than other people really think he is. And I feel like Coyotes fans agree with that. But he's the captain. He loves it there. He didn't want to move. So
you know who Boston's got to go for? They should go for Sammy Vatanen.
Ooh, that'd be smart. They could use a power play quarterback because they seemingly have a lot of faith in Grzelcyk. So
a little too much, in my opinion.
I think so too. I mean, unless he's done something that we have not seen, which I don't believe's happened, he just isn't proven yet. He's not that young either. That's the thing.
No, he's not.
He's like what, 25?
I want to say 26 off the top of my head.
25, 26. And he's making 26. And he's making like 3.67, like way too much on a 4-year deal. Like that's a lot of term and a lot of cap hit for, I'd say, a fifth to fourth defender.
Opinion. You know what I'm predicting is happening right now? They paid him that much money because somewhere out there's just a video of him doing something like a Rocky montage. Like from the movie Rocky. He's just like running with a fucking log on his shoulder or some shit.
You think so?
Yeah, he's working really hard. He ends up being the best fucking defenseman in the NHL next season.
They gave him like $1.5 million more because of that video?
Bro, yeah, it's called hard work. Fuck.
All right, so hardworking players are worth a lot more just because they work hard. So take that into note. All right, moving into the next team, we have the Buffalo Sabres. And I'd say the only thing that they have going for them right now is that Taylor Hall contract that they signed. And I think they got a wish for that contract to actually pan out and for Taylor Hall to pan out in Buffalo. And hopefully he signs a long-term extension and hopefully Buffalo can actually compete. Do you see that being likely?
Yes, I personally see it happening.
You think Hall's going to stay long-term?
I don't know about that. I do think I think he's going to pan out in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They might extend him.
I think if Buffalo has the chance, they're going to do it. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah.
No question in my mind. It's just I feel like it's going to go either one of two ways. It's going to go horribly or it's going to go excellent. And for Coyotes fans, I showed the date before. Trade deadline is April 12th. So you have that to look forward. Did I say Coyotes fans? Buffalo fans, you have April 12th to look forward to. So you can get an absolute haul for Taylor Hall. So, see what I did there? Didn't mean to do that. So Buffalo hopefully wishes that Taylor Hall will pan out and be a long-term fit in Buffalo. Me personally, I'd say he's going to fit. I don't know about long-term, though. That's, I think, the best way to put it. Like I said, it's either going to go horribly or it's going to go fantastic. Nowhere in between. So moving on to the Calgary Flames. What they wish for this Christmas is for their offense to show up in the playoffs. Repeatedly, a couple years ago, they won the President's Trophy. They had a fantastic regular season. The offense didn't show up in the playoffs. Couldn't score goals. Last year, and the play-in, did they even make the first round? No, they didn't. They lost to Dallas, right?
Was that a play-in? I thought that was a playoff series.
Who'd they – dude, it feels like fucking years ago. Did they play Dallas in the play-in or did they play them in the first round?
I think it was first round because I remember watching Tampa versus Columbus at the same time. So it was
okay. So they made the first round, but to be fair, they didn't go anywhere. So their offense, they got to step up. They're off Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, Tkachuk, a lot of big names there that they got to produce in the playoffs. Like Gaudreau, he's a known non-playoff contributor. Like that's like his reputation at this point. He's got to change that this season, and Calgary's definitely wishing that he can do that. So that's on their wish list for this season. So moving on to the Carolina Hurricanes, they literally like the only thing that they need is a goalie. Only thing. And they didn't get it this offseason, which is kind of frustrating. We wanted to go after Markstrom. We expressed that multiple times, that Markstrom would be an amazing fit in Carolina. It just didn't happen. Do you think they're going to look maybe at the trade deadline, maybe like halfway through this season, see if they can maybe get a goalie, you think?
That depends, because if their season's going really well, then no, there's not going to be any need to. However, if it's going like mediocre, like, it's going good, but it's not really.
Mm-hmm.
So we're breaking the mold or anything. They might want to. I don't really know what they moved though for a goaltender.
They got prospects there. I'm pretty sure they got all their picks as well. So they definitely have assets to move. It's just like who'd they go get? I don't know who'd be available. We could see a situation which I seem very unlikely if Anton Khudobin's actually like a legit starter, which I don't think he is. Maybe Dallas tries to move Bishop, which I don't see happening at all. That's what I'm saying. I don't see that happening at all. That's just off the top of my head. Maybe a Jonathan Quick gets moved out of LA. Maybe he goes to Carolina. Maybe he can rejuvenate his career. Who else? Maybe a whatchamacallit? I just had maybe the guy from Arizona, a Kemper or a Ronta, maybe someone like that.
Oh wait, yeah, I didn't even think about that. They have
maybe one of those guys,
completely capable starting goaltenders.
I'm saying, I feel like if I'm Arizona, I want to keep Kemper, so maybe we'd see a Ronta to Carolina move. That I wouldn't rule that out of the question. I'd see that being most likely out of everything that I've just mentioned. So maybe they'll get their guy. Maybe they think their guy is Peter Mrazek, or maybe Jim Reimer. We'll see what happens. So that's definitely on their wish list for next season, or this year, actually. So Chicago Blackhawks, on their wish lists, it's got to be a new GM, right?
Has to be.
Got to be a new GM. We've seen countless just abysmal moves by Stan Bowman. Terrible. Off the top of my head, bringing back Saad like twice. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on. Really? Not re-signing Corey Crawford, going into this year with Malcolm Subban and Colin Delia as your goalies. That team was really good, and you got to give him credit. That team won 3 cups, but he's just been unable to keep up with it. He lost it, I feel like. He should be fired.
He's definitely like the Hawks fans. Like, he's still living in the glory days. Where
Well, we should have put the Hawks. They want to go back in time. That should be their wish list. Their wish for Christmas. They want to go back in time, 2015, 2012, 2013, all those years where they were really good. One of the best teams in the NHL. Patrick Kane was amazing. Taves was amazing. Duncan Keith is the best defenseman in the NHL. Brent Seabrook wasn't terrible and overpaid. Just, it's one of those deals. So Chicago definitely needs a new GM for Christmas. Will they get it? Probably not. No, it won't happen. But so they should get. So the Colorado Avalanche, they're a pretty good team. Not really anything they really need. The only thing that I could think of that they actually need is a healthy goalie for the playoffs. Last season, oh my God, man. Who was starting for them? Freaking, what's his face? Michael Hutchison was starting.
Yeah.
Grubauer went down and Francouz went down. They both had 2 decent regular season. I think Francouz kind of crapped the bed in the playoffs, though, if I'm not mistaken.
A little bit.
But they had Michael Hutchison in net for the playoffs. That's not a Stanley Cup winning goalie. I feel like Philip Grubauer is borderline a Stanley Cup winning goalie. I feel like it's inflated by that team in front of him. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. Like, borderline, yeah, he's kind of iffy, but with that team in front of him, yes, he's fine.
That's what I'm saying. Even Francouz, they could have won it with Francouz. Look at Dallas. I feel like Colorado has a better team on paper than Dallas, and that's no question. So, but then again, Khudobin did play absolutely ridiculous in the playoffs. So you got to give him credit. But hey, maybe we can see a run out of that from Grubauer or even Francouz, or maybe Michael Hutchison. I don't think he resigned though, so probably not. So that's what Colorado needs for Christmas. Healthy going in the playoffs. Move on to the next team. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets, what they need for Christmas is a big top tier player to sign long term in Columbus. Sergei Bobrovsky, Matt Duchene, Artemi Panarin, they all left. Columbus thought, we have a future here with these guys. Nope, they all left. Seemingly, it seems like nobody really wants to re-sign in Columbus. What do you think about that?
I mean, we got someone who's waiting right now. Fucking Pierre-Luc
Philippe
Dubois.
Dubois. Yep, that's also something they need. They need his contract to be resolved. So,
I don't know. I don't. Was it like expected that they were gonna keep all those guys like Duchene, Panarin, Bobrovsky?
it wasn't like we really didn't know. We figured Panarin was going to leave. Duchesne was a bit of a question mark, even with Bobrovsky, but they didn't want to stay there. Whether it was not a winning formula, whether it was John Tortorella, maybe it was the
I
area,
could see that. Bro,
Columbus, Ohio.
It's weird. I could see that. John Tortorella is, in my opinion, this might be a reach for some people, but in my opinion, the best coach in the league.
Okay.
I
personally, I don't think he's the best, but I think he's up there. He's a really freaking good coach.
Even if you don't think he's the best, like you gotta admit he's top 5 at least.
Yeah, no, I'd say he's top 5.
But his style might not sit well with a lot of players. Like he's really no nonsense.
He's hard nosed, no nonsense whatsoever. Yeah,
I remember watching, it was like Rangers versus Columbus like years and years ago. We had Alain Vigneault and like some bullshit was called on the Rangers, and Alain Vigneault was just sitting there with his arms crossed, chewing on his gum. And then some bullshit was called on the Blue Jackets. Tortorella's like flipping out. He's yelling at the refs and shit. And I'm like, why did we ever fucking lose this guy? Like, this guy is unreal.
Didn't he call a ref a fat pig at one point, or is that someone else I'm thinking of?
I wouldn't even doubt it.
Oh man, that's bothering me now. Either him or someone else called an NHL ref a fat pig. In quotes, I think it was "Go eat a donut, you fat pig." I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
If so, that's amazing.
No, but it really is. I've seen that clip so many times. But I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Fuck.
It's weird just seeing your hands move underneath your desk, a clapping noise, and you saying "fuck," whispering it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop you there.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, so realistically, I could see Torts being the reason that some people don't stay, because it is a very big coaching style. It's a very big thing you have to get used to.
Oh, I knew what I was gonna say. I think Alain Vigneault is a shit coach.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. He was
guy can't do shit in the playoffs, man.
He's been the coach of my favorite team for I forgot how many years, but yeah, you're right. No, once you get to the playoffs, he kind of just
he's gone, man. He just I feel like he doesn't adjust. I feel like he keeps the same style, expecting it to work, but just he doesn't adjust on it. In the playoffs, you got to adjust. That's why Tampa did so good. They adjusted. Freaking Dallas, they adjusted to the situation they were in. Even look like a team like Vancouver, they adjusted to the situation that they were in and actually managed to force Vegas to game 6.
7 games.
It was 7 games, my fault, that no one thought they were going to do. And they were actually in the game for the third period, I think, till Vegas scored, 2 or 3 goals. But they were in it. They adjusted. They put that defensive style out. I think Travis Green's a really underrated coach for that. I feel like he's pretty good. Doesn't get much credit, I feel like, as he deserves. But like a guy like AV, look at the Flyers. They were one of the best teams regular season. Montreal took them to 6. Montreal arguably outplayed them that series, and the Islanders they killed them. Honestly, I watched most of the games in that series, and the Flyers did not look good. So I don't think AV's a great coach. I know you don't. So what team are we on? Oh yeah, moving on to the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars for Christmas, they really, I wouldn't say want too much. They got a pretty decent team, pretty good everything else. They want another cup run, and they want Anton Khudobin to continue his hot streak. Do you think any of those two are likely?
Do I see Khudobin? I feel like the Khudobin one's more likely than them going to the cup. I feel like the cup. I definitely understand that. I really hate to say this, but I feel like their cup run was kind of a fluke.
Yeah, kind of.
I really would like to see Khudobin do well again, just so NHL on NBC's Instagram makes you look like a fucking idiot.
I'd love to see him do terrible, so I can just shit on them for that.
But yeah, I feel like Khudobin and going on another good run is maybe I don't know, him and Bishop. That seems like a really good tandem in my opinion.
I like Bishop. I think Bishop's such a good goalie. I feel like it should be a 1A and 1B type of thing, because Bishop's usually beat up. He gets beat up a lot. So maybe they play Bishop 30 and Khudobin the other 25 or whatever. Maybe they do something like that. Anything's really anything's really on the table at this point. So another cup run, I'd say unlikely. And Anton Dobie continues hot streak. I'd say not to the extent that he was in the playoffs, but I still can see.
That's possible.
Yeah, I could see him being above 9-13, 9-15, around that area. So we'll see what happens with that. Next team on our Christmas list, we have the Detroit Red Wings. For Christmas, they want everything and anything. They want anything. They need anything. Forward, sure. Defense, sure. Goalie, sure. Why not? They could use anything, honestly. But based off what they really need, what do you think the Red Wings, like if they had to pick, if Steve Yzerman had to pick one thing that he can get, what would he want?
I would probably say D because your offense is your top three forwards. They're all below the age of 27.
The guys at D coming up as well.
And
what's his face? Lucas Raymond. They have him coming up as well.
Right, but their defense, their top guys,
Hronek, Schlowski.
These are people that are young.
Exactly.
They got the Kaiser, who's 30.
He's
they
trash.
got Stahl, who's 33.
Also trash.
Nemeth.
Trash.
That's sure.
Decent.
Exactly. So they need. They definitely need defense more than
they could
anything.
use that Nicholas Lidstrom type player that they had years and years ago. That's exactly what Detroit needed. Maybe even a goalie, because I don't think what's his face. Thomas Greiss is okay. He's okay for right now, but for long term, he's not okay because he's like 34. So they could use I'd say number one D-man is what they really, really need. But Detroit would take anything at this point. So that's what they need for Christmas. Moving on to the Edmonton Oilers. For Christmas, the Edmonton Oilers would love Jesse Puljujarvi to pan out in the NHL. You know, he had a couple stints here and there, a couple games. He just really couldn't find a fit, couldn't make it work. But then again, that was under – who was their old GM? What the fuck's his name? Peter Chiarelli. That was under him.
Oh, God. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so, you know, things could be different now with Ken Holland, an actual capable NHL GM at the fold. Do you think Puljujarvi can find his game and find a fit in the NHL with the Oilers?
I really do. They have to play him right. You can't. You need to experiment.
He's got to be in the top six. He's got to be in the top six.
Yeah, put him in the top six. Put him with McDavid or Draisaitl. If he doesn't work out there, maybe let him find his footing at lower level minutes, and then if he doesn't pan out, then he's just not panning out.
Trade bait?
Maybe.
If he doesn't pan out this year, his trade value is going to be as low as it's ever been because they gave him a huge chance because that's what he's going to get this season. He's going to get a huge chance. I'm pretty sure he's on a 2-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to be at Edmonton for the next couple of years. He's got to make it worth. Like what I've said, what I think the Edmonton Oilers top six should be: McDavid at center, first line, Nuge on his wing with Puljujarvi. Second line, Draisaitl, Cahoon, and Yamamoto. That should be the Oilers' top six.
100%.
Get freaking Zach Kassian off McDavid's wing, bro. He's garbage. Get him on the fourth line. It's where he belongs. Like, they got to give him a shot. Todd McClellan's got to give him a shot. I don't remember if he was the coach when Puljujarvi was first given a shot in the NHL. I'm pretty sure he was because he's been the coach there for a couple of years.
He's not even the coach now.
Tom McClellan?
It's Dave Tippett.
Fuck.
Yeah, you said McClellan. I was like,
when did McClellan get fired?
I don't know. I don't even think is he even a coach right now? I don't think
he's with the. I think he's with the. He's definitely in the NHL. I think he's on the Kings. You know,
I remember he went to somewhere. It was again like anti-Shark, so I was like, oh, that's weird. He's going there, but he's not the Oilers head coach.
Where is this guy? What just came up? Todd McClellan Silversmith. Nah, get out of here.
Yeah, anyways, in all seriousness though, that top six you said is pretty much a picture perfect how I see it as well. It's gonna be McDavid center, Nuge, Pulju wings, and then line after that, Drat with fucking Yamamoto and Cahoon.
Yeah. It fits perfectly. And even their third line, they got Turris on the third line. They got some other guys in there. You got what's his face? Even like Kassian. Kassian can go over and run over people on the third line. That's not too bad. He can produce at a decent rate, maybe like 20 points for next season. Just at horrible on the third line, but you got to give Puljujarvi power play time. He's got to get power play time. I'd say either number one, probably number two unit power play time, and he's got to be on the first line. You got to play him. You got to give him a shot. You can't throw him on the fourth line. You can't give him no power play time and expect him to pan out. Yeah,
exactly.
you can't expect that. And if that does happen, and if that does happen, and they trade him to another team, he's gonna do really good. Figure like I don't know, like who would take a chance? Like a Tampa. Tampa's the perfect team to take a chance on a guy like that, making like little money, throw him in the top six, and just see what he can do. Just let him play. And I can see that working out, even for the Oilers. If they do it, I can see it working out for them. I think Puljujarvi is going to pan out in Edmonton if they give him the right shot. They got to give him a chance. So I think Edmonton's Christmas wish will be fulfilled, and Puljujarvi will become that top six winger that they envision him being. So moving on to the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers' Christmas wish is to get people in the stands. No, I'm only kidding. So
for Florida wants serious for a minute. I was like,
what Florida wants for Christmas is they want a goalie not making $10 million that can make saves for them. Or a goalie that does make $10 million, which they're going to have, that can make saves for them. Sergei Bobrovsky, make saves, bro. Like, I don't know what happened to this guy. I don't know if it was just the situation, like the way they play in Florida, but like, dude, he was horrible, man.
Sergei Bobrovsky just makes saves, bro. Why didn't he think of that?
I don't know. If he
it
would have
seems
thought
so
of it,
simple.
He would have done it. Look at his freaking sub 900 save percentage and be like,
I feel like
bro,
if he could hear you, he'd want to just wring your fucking neck for saying that. Like, just make
Sergey,
saves, bro.
Would you like to hop on the podcast and talk about it? we really appreciate it. Even if you can't speak English, we'll make it work.
Oh my god. Okay.
We can get Sergei Bobrovsky interviewing the title.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much how it's gonna go for them. They needed Sergei to produce. I'm sorry, not produce. Play like he used to in Columbus.
I'd say produce works as well.
But yeah, I mean, Florida's team isn't that bad. I mean, their defense could be better, but it's still not bad. I still like their defense.
But at $10 million, Sergei Bobrovsky should be in conversation for the Vezina year in and year out. And he was probably one of the farthest goalies away from that last season. Yep. So he's got to bounce back. He's got to be above 910. You have to be above 910, bro. It's an embarrassment if he's not over 910 next season. What was he last season? Was he like 8?
Just had a 900.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Okay, so we barely had a 900 save percentage. Most of last season he was actually under 900. So
this was also the only season he had as a starting goalie where his goals against average was above 3.
All right, so it's not entirely on him. I guess, Florida giving up a lot of goals, I guess, because the goals against average more or less isn't a goalie stat. It's more of a team stat. So I guess Florida's giving up a lot of goals. But like you saw when, like I've made this argument, like when Drieger went in, that Drieger played fan-freaking-tastic, dude. Drieger, he had one of the highest save percentages in the league, not Anton Khudobin. He had one of the highest save percentages in the league last season. Yeah, yes, it wasn't 12 games, but it was still. He had like a 9, it's like high 930s, I think. Or even 9. I don't think it was 940s. I think it was high 930s. So, but like, look at that. Like Bobrovsky, like if Chris Drieger outplayed you, like what's going on here, bro? Like, I don't know. Either he's got to figure his shit out, or maybe a very expensive buyout could be on.
That's a lot of
question soon. I don't think that's gonna happen. Like that'd kill Florida, man. Kill them. Just like the fans not showing up, but that's for another day.
That's gonna make that would actually no. Didn't they just hire a new general manager?
Yeah, they got Bill Zito.
I was gonna say that was if the general manager stayed or whatever the fuck, that would have made him look so bad having Bobrovsky on that contract and then just he's gone. Like imagine.
So at least Bill Zito, it's not really his fault that he's stuck with it. It's just one of those deals, one of those like
it's
sort of like a Ken Holland type of thing with Edmonton, stuck with the Lucic contract, made the best of it, and managed to trade him. Yeah, Lou Lamoriello going into the Islanders with all those terrible bottom 6 contracts. So. Yeah, not his fault. I like what he did, though. He signed Duclair at a really cheap deal, so good on Bill Zito. Good move their part. So hopefully Florida can get Sergei Bobrovsky to find his old form. Hopefully he'll make some saves next season. So moving on from that, we have the LA Kings. What they want for Christmas is defense. Because I actually did this before the podcast, before we started recording. Can you name 5 LA Kings defenders?
Drew Doughty, Ole Mata, Sean Walker, Michael Anderson, Curtis McDermott, Matt Roy, and it's not because I have cap friendly open.
Okay. The average NHL fan cannot do that. I don't think I could have named 6 there. You have cap friendly open because obviously you did it. No. So they need defense. Like half of those names are like bottom pairing defensemen that you just named. You got Doughty, who's you know how I feel about Drew Doughty, but he's a top 4 defenseman in the league. Sean Walker's not too bad. He's okay. Matt Roy's got a little potential. He played good at some parts next season. And Oli Mata's, I don't even know how to describe him anymore. Fifth defender at best. That's not good enough, even for like LA. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs next season. We know that. They played really good at the end of last season, though. They won like 10 games in a row or something like that, some ridiculous thing like that. So LA does have guys coming up, though, but they could use another Drew Doughty from 5 years ago on that team.
Yeah, I think Bjorn Fort
he's good.
is gonna come up. He's only 19.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that the defense is pretty fucking open. So I mean, he
really
probably
is.
easily could make it there.
And I love LA's forward fucking prospect core, man. They got like Gabe Velarde.
They have the most players in the World Juniors this year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. LA's got some serious prospect pool, dude.
We barely got Turkey, Kaliev, fucking.
Oh, I forgot about Turkey. Jesus, man. All right. So LA's got a big future on the horizon. Hopefully they can get a defender or two, though, to help that out. And hopefully Cal Peterson is a legit goalie of the future. So only LA can hope. So we'll see what happens there. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild. I was honestly, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I know one thing I ever think about Minnesota, but what I wrote down was to be anything other than mediocre. So I'm going to be honest, that team is the definition of mediocre. What I just thought of, though, is the number 1 center. Because right now, do you know who the number 1 center is? Do you want to say who it is?
Technically speaking, it says here Marcus Johansson plays all center, winger. But if we're talking realistically, it's most likely Nick Bonino or Victor Rask.
What the fuck happened to that team, bro? Like, their center core just got absolutely depleted. Donato, Kunin, Stahl, Koivu, gone. With little return. What they got in return was a 3rd-round pick, Nick Bonino.
Hell yeah.
And Marcus Johansson.
Hell yeah. It's called money moves, Ethan. You wouldn't understand.
My earbud fell out. But like, oh my God. That is terrible. Terrible. Their defense is all right. They got Suter, Spurgeon, Brodeen, a couple of guys over there. Hopefully Talbot can pan out in the net. But oh my God. Oh my God. That is terrible, bro. Do you think there's anyone out there? Maybe they bring back Eric Holla. Like they need a center.
They need to. They really need a center.
What's their cap space look like?
They
got space, right? They have space.
They have 2.7.
What? That team's awful, bro. They're not making the playoffs. I thought they could be in the playoff push for this season, but no, they're fucking garbage, bro. Oh my God. They have like no wingers either. They got like Fiala, and that's it. Poor Kevin Fiala, man. Just think, if they could have kept Mikael Granlund, they keep him. He was fantastic for them. Oh, they could bring Granlund back.
They could.
That would make a lot of sense. Honestly, that would make so much sense for both sides. Granlund played so good in Minnesota, and Minnesota needs a center.
Yeah, but
Granlund,
is he
Fiala,
sign for 2.7?
and Zuccarello? At this point, sign for anything, right? Duclair got 1.7. Is, what's his face? Granlund really that much more valuable than Duclair after the season that he had? I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess his poor production would kind of just put leverage against him.
Mm-hmm. So maybe Minnesota does something like that, but yeah, Minnesota needs a center so badly. So moving on from that, we have the Montreal Canadiens. On their Christmas list, I think they need Josh Anderson's contract to pan out. That's probably the most thing that they need for Christmas. Make it 5.5 over 7 years. And do you know how many goals he scored last season? Off the top of your head, do you know?
Top of my head, and from no other resources, literally just pure and uncut knowledge, just from my old noggin. He had 1 goal last season.
1 goal.
Yeah.
Is that worth? Is that worth? You want to tell me actually before? How many points did he have?
Off the top of my head again, I think he had 4.
4. Okay. Is that worth $5.5 million over 7 years?
No, that's why I've been questioning this fucking Anderson contract ever since it was signed.
But can you tell me the numbers that he had the year before that?
Oh, geez, you're really making me dig deep into my brain here, man.
Yeah, let me see it, bro. Come on. Let me see these numbers.
2018 to 2019?
Yes.
In terms of, he had like 47 points, I think.
How many goals did he have? Was it 27?
It was 27.
Okay. That is worth 5.5 over 7. So realistically, what player do you think you're getting in Josh Anderson? Are you getting the one from 2 years ago, the one from a year ago, or the one a little bit in the middle?
Better pray it's the one from 2 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like anything short of 15, 17 goals this season is a disappointment.
Yeah.
Gotta be, yeah. Because figure in a full season, that's on pace for like 25, maybe 30 goals. He's got to put up high 15, 16, 17, maybe even 18. He's got to be, I'd say, the leading goal scorer outside of Brendan Gallagher on the Canadiens.
Or Toffoli if Toffoli is not
Or
streaky.
Toffoli. They might, okay, Montreal, they're going to have some goal scorers next season. Got Anderson, Toffoli, Suzuki's bound to net a couple, Tatar's bound to net a couple. Gallagher's going to be probably on pace for 30 in a full season. So I'm liking Montreal's offense if everything goes to plan. That's the thing. Is Kotkaniemi ready for a full season? Is Suzuki ready for a full season? Those are just questions we'll have to see if they're answered by the time next season rolls around. So, but they need Anderson's contract to pan out, most definitely. Because if not, that's going to be a really bad contract. They're stuck with that for a while. That's like worse than the Louis Eriksson contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was 6x6. This is 5.5x7. Yeah, that's terrible. Oh my God. All right. So moving on to the next team, we have the Nashville Predators. What I think, and I've said this multiple times, what I think that they need for Christmas is they need to revamp their forward core. I don't think it's working. Johansson's not working. They just signed Duchesne, which really sucks because he really doesn't fit in with that team besides liking country music. They got Victor Arvidsson, who's been really good, but he just gets hurt so much. Phil Forsberg, I'd say probably is their best forward, who I say they really shouldn't move. Who else is in there? They lost Craig Smith at free agency. Who else am I missing? Is there anyone else there?
I guess Colton Sissons.
There's no one else that plays in the top
Luke
six?
Kunin. They just got Luke Kunin.
Okay, you know what I think? I think they have to trade Ryan Johansson. I feel like he's the perfect name.
So as well, yeah.
Perfect name to be moved. They need to move Ryan Johansson for another team looking to shake up their forward core. Ryan Johansson for like a winger. So they can roll the center core of Duchesne and Kunin. I feel like is a pretty decent center core. Because I feel like Kunin's going to have a bit of a breakout season if Nashville gives him the right opportunity. I can see maybe a Johansson for – I don't even know. But definitely not. Are you kidding me? It's a terrible trade. Maybe
Not straight up.
No, definitely not straight up. Maybe – fuck, I can't even think of – come on, give me a trade. Come on. Look at the wall. What we got?
It's only limited to players on his wall.
Oh, if I'm looking at St. Louis, that'll come to mind. I got Anaheim, I got Calgary, and New York. I have 2 minutes though. Okay, I have 2 Minnesota things on my wall. I can't think of a player. I really can't. Maybe this is a bit of a shot in the dark. Maybe a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Maybe he's got 1 year left on his deal. Maybe they don't think they can sign him. Maybe they'll say, hey, we'll take on Johansson, who's making a little more money, but probably the same amount as Nuge would make, and maybe we'll throw him on the wing McDavid, see what he can do, because you never know what anyone can do on the wing with McDavid. So, based on like a trade, though, I really don't know. I struggle to come up with one. So that's what I think they should do. Maybe trade Johansson for another winger, maybe a younger player, maybe like a Jonathan Drouin, maybe a player like that who can come in, maybe do something alongside of Forsberg. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to the next team, we have the New Jersey Devils. What they need for Christmas most is they need Jack Hughes to produce like a first overall pick. His production in NHL has been very lackluster, having one of the worst seasons by a first overall pick in years. But I still think there's upside. It was 1 year. He's 18 years old or 19 now, whatever he is. He's a freaking kid. He's so young still. I feel like the odds of him bouncing back are super high. Let me hear. Do you think he's going to bounce back?
Yeah, no, I was going to say the Devils fans have the same thing to look forward to that I do with Capo Caco. I say this to you all the time. Like, you always make fun of him that he was a bust or whatever, like Hardy Hard. But like I've been saying, one, he's Caco was the best guy in the Rangers in the play-in, and now Hughes is in the situation too where they've had all this time to just work out, get much bigger, get much stronger, work on their craft on the ice. I'm more worried about the brawn, like them getting bigger off the fucking ice. Is
because Hughes was like 160 going into last season, if I remember correctly.
That's really small.
Really small. insanely small. So hopefully he bulked up a little bit, gain a couple pounds, gain some muscle, can come out, maybe get like 10 goals, 35 assists around that area, maybe close to a point per game, what he should have been. So hopefully he can produce at the high level that the Devils expected him to produce at. Hopefully that'll happen next season. Moving on to the New York Islanders, what they want for Christmas, and the only thing they want for Christmas is Matt Barzal to sign a contract extension. He's unsigned, best player by a mile. They need to sign him. But cap space is a bit of an issue in Long Island. So, what do you think is a good term and a good contract AAV that you think Matt Barzal could potentially sign with the New York Islanders?
I think at this rate, they just need to move like a contract that needs to be moved regardless of Barzal.
I agree. Like a Komarov, they can do without Komarov. I don't know if
Right.
any team's going to take him, but we'll see. Maybe they're throwing a draft pick. The Devils maybe will take him. They got tons of cap space. Maybe they'll just throw, honestly, maybe a second round pick, third round pick, and they'll take on Komarov's salary. We'll see. What do you think the Matt Barzal contract could look like, though?
I think they just sent to a 1 or 2 year extension worth like $6 million, like something cheap. Like that's really cheap for Barzal, but it's also short.
No,
If he
you're
wants to
right.
stay long term, they pay him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But at this rate, they can't do that, so they needed to find a way to free up a very little bit of wiggle room and then take him for a short-term deal and then figure out what to do then.
If I'm Matt Barzal, taking a 5-year deal, getting paid a little bit, then I'm going to UFA. Then I'm going to get paid even more. That's what I'm doing if I'm Matt Barzal. It's the same thing Austin Matthews did, same thing Mitch Marner did. I think that's just the right move for Matt Barzal to take. Based on contract, though, or AAV, I can see a 5-year deal at a low to high sevens, maybe like 7.6, 7.5,
I can see that.
somewhere around there.
You're saying go straight to UFA. If he wants to do that, he could sign a 3-year deal.
Oh, 3. Okay. So maybe we can see a 3 to. I didn't know what he had to do to get the UFA. Because Matthews, it was 5. So I'd known Barzal was a little older than Matthews. I didn't know how much older. How
23.
20? I thought he was 22. Okay. So he's a little older than I thought he is. So he could take a 3-year deal, maybe a 4-year. I think a 4-year deal is more likely. Get a little more term on there. I could see a 3 to 4-year deal. Maybe lower the AAV a little bit because of that.
Take a
7.3.
And then demand a trade by the last year.
Can't see him demanding a trade. I could see him pulling a Tavares, though. Dude,
Either
do you imagine if freaking the Islanders get to go through that again? They lose Tavares, the UFA, after he said
For
he
real.
signed. They hate Tavares. They burn Tavares jerseys.
Wherever Barzal goes, they're going to sell out the games, and then next game, they're playing someone else.
Mhm.
About 25% of the arena's filled in.
Yo,
The entire
Hold
Islander
up.
fan base is hating John Tavares. Like, literally, there's
for
nothing else that they
absolutely
do
no
anymore.
reason. After he carried your team for like 8 years and then left because he probably wasn't going to get paid what he got in Toronto, and he had a chance to win a cup in Toronto. Let's be honest, Islanders at that point didn't look like they were going anywhere. I'm going to be honest, their conference run that last year, I think, was a bit of a fluke.
I agree.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was a bit of a fluke. I think they could make the playoffs next season. I'd say it's more likely that they miss next season. Be honest with you. We'll see what happens though.
Toss up.
So it is a toss up. It's so close, man. It's so close. If Boston's actually ready to play, Boston's going to be in. Washington's probably going to be in. Philly's going to be in. That's 3 teams already. Leaves one team for the Rangers, the Islanders. Who else in there? Pittsburgh. Never count out them. I'd even throw Buffalo in there. Don't count out the Sabres this season. Do not count out Buffalo. So we'll see what happens with that division. And moving on to the other New York team, we have the New York Rangers. So Eddie, I'm going to let you answer this question.
Time out.
Okay.
You apologize right now for referring to them as the other New York team.
Really?
I'm not continuing if you don't.
Let's move on to the New York Rangers. So, the New York Rangers. Eddie, would you like to share, because you're the New York Rangers fan, would you like to share what you think they need for Christmas?
Yeah, well, for starters, we need a captain. But that's not the big one. The wish list for the Rangers, we need a defensive defenseman because we have Jacob Trouba, who, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what he is right now. I don't know if he's a two-way.
Garbage. He's garbage. That's what he is.
I'm still going to give him a chance. As much as I joke, I am going to give him a chance.
Well, it was 1 year.
We got Tony D, who's a very excellent offensive defense. We got Brendan Smith, who
is a forward. Is he a forward or a defenseman?
He was a forward for a decent part of the year.
My God.
We got Jack Johnson.
So you said you need a defensive defenseman. There you go. You got one.
Ryan Lindgren, who's he's kind of two-way in my opinion.
You think so? I think he's more defensive.
He is a defensive, but he's defensive. We got Fox, very good offensive defenseman. And fucking Anthony Potato. I'm not even gonna acknowledge that.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we need someone who's there to play defense. We got Trouba, who if he does what he did in Winnipeg, then maybe an offensive defense. We got
Trouba was a perfect two-way defender in Winnipeg. Trouba played defense very well, put up 50 points in his career high with the Jets. That's a decent defender, decent year, but he just did not. How many points did he have last year? 20, 23, 24, 27?
With the Rangers?
Yeah, with the Rangers. It's in the 20s, right?
With the Rangers.
20-something.
It's nothing special. Yeah, he had 27.
That's not good enough.
No, not at all.
I don't think he played defense very well either.
No, he didn't.
Oh, boy. He's got a nice flow, at least.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He, as a defenseman, he had more giveaways than takeaways.
That's common for defenders, though. So, I think Trouba will bounce back in some. He has to. He has.
We're giving him $8 million.
He has to bounce back, man. He's still young. He's late 20s. He's not that old yet. So,
realistically though, we got Fox, D'Angelo, both offensive. Lindgren, who's defensive, but he's not, like that big guy that we need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they get it from. Maybe hope Matthew Robertson develops as a.
What's Braden Schneider looking like?
Who?
Braden Schneider.
Braden Schneider.
Is he defensive or not?
Yeah.
Two-way?
I want to say he's more of a two-way than a.
Is he a big kid or no? Was he like 6'2"?
Yeah, hold on one sec.
Okay. Because he could be your guy. Big defensive D-man.
Yeah. He I can't really fucking find it. I don't know why, but realistically speaking, though, I don't know where we're gonna get it from. Maybe if we do end up trading Strome or something, we get a defensive defenseman, just someone who can actually come in, help the goalie a little bit. Shesterkin coming in at age 24, Georgiev also age 24, both phenomenal goalies.
Hold up, how much cap space you guys got
right now?
4.8. What about Big Z?
There was talks that they would go for him, but they got someone way better named Jack Johnson. Also, that goes against what the Rangers are doing right now. They want to focus the core on youth. So Big Z, we would literally just have for 1 year. He's kind of just the only reason to get Big Z is probably if you're like a cup contending team. I feel like.
Or I feel like the Rangers are on the cusp in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if they're one of the teams that can squeak in, maybe get to the second round. And, you'd want that veteran leadership. Chara's been there, done it before. Because realistically, has anyone on the Rangers won a cup? Probably not, right? Maybe one or two players here and there, but no one really that's been there, done that, like Zdeno Chara has.
We don't have any Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe if Jeff Gordon thinks, maybe we could have a shot at this, maybe they bring in Chara. It would definitely make sense because their blue line's not the best. Yeah, no, Chara's good.
Chara.
That's what I'm 100%.
saying.
Throw him alongside of like like a Fox or a D'Angelo, just to hold it steady back there.
Fox and fucking Big Z, imagine. That'd be
Who
mad
did D'Angelo
funny.
play with?
Tony
Trouba?
D. It was usually Fox, Lindgren, I think. Then D'Angelo, Trouba, I think.
Oh, God. Was D'Angelo a third pair power play specialist or no?
Power play? No, he third pair. No, power play. I think he was our first eventually.
Because no, I'm talking about like Shattenkirk. Shattenkirk's a third pairing defenseman, power play specialist.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like something like that. Was he one of those players?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely power play specialist. He was probably eventually towards the end of the season. He was definitely in the top pairing.
Okay.
But yeah, 100% defensive defenseman, and for the Rangers to stop fucking around and tell us Mika Zibanejad is the captain.
Fair enough. We'll see if it happens. I think it's likely. I've seen some of the pictures you sent me, dude. It looks so
all right,
obvious, man.
yes. All right, Rangers fans, conspiracy. I need you to look at the Instagram feed for the Rangers, like the Rangers Instagram feed. Any picture the first clue they gave was when the reverse retros were announced. I'm pretty sure they deleted the post at the time because I couldn't find it this morning when I was looking. Well, this afternoon when I woke up. Was they put the reverse retro with a C, and the model had long hair. And everyone thought it was Mika at first, but then they showed us some other long-haired model. So we were like, okay, fine, we'll give you that one. But then they posted another picture a few days ago where it was just Mika standing there, and he had his arm out, but the angle they were at, the arm covered right here, wherever it would be, where the C would be. Very, very specific arm placement.
Yeah, right. I saw the picture.
They matched the photo. I was like, what's the point of that? But then they post another thing today. It was a promo. It had a bunch of the Rangers players, but Mika Zibanejad was only in one slide. And in this slide, he's rotating, and you can see a bit of a letter right here, but it's cut off. Well, it was probably an A because it was a picture of him in play. It's not a coincidence that they're making it so you can't see right here. Dude, the minute they say Mika's captain, I'm gonna say I fucking knew it.
Yo, what if they just prank everyone and name Jacob Trouba captain?
I'll literally fucking no. If worst case scenario, we get Kreider as captain.
That's not too bad.
Which I'm not.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I was on favorite Captain Stahl before he got moved, but that didn't happen. So unfortunate. When's the last time they had a captain? Was it what's his face? McDonough. When did he get traded? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so they haven't had a captain in a little bit. So hopefully they name Zibanejad the captain. I'd like to see. I think Zibanejad's a good player. I just don't think he's as good as everyone hypes him up to be, but still a fantastic player in himself. So hopefully I think he deserves to see. So we'll see what happens there.
I'd say he's not up to the hype if I had a small mind too. Let's move on to the next team. Alphabetical order, of course.
The Ottawa Senators, of course. So
fuck you.
What the Ottawa Senators need, I think it's pretty plain and crisp. They need a new owner. Fuck Eugene Melnyk. That guy is such an asshole, man. He when you think of just despicable, awful people, you think of Eugene Melnyk. You don't think of Hitler. You don't think of freaking anyone else. You think of Eugene Melnyk. I have to edit that out. You think of Eugene Melnyk.
Dude, no fucking way. This took such a fucking bad turn.
I have to edit that out. Fuck.
You fucking compared him to Adolf.
I forgot we were. I forgot I can't do that.
I mean, you can. It's just like maybe offensive. I doubt it though.
Is it offensive? Especially if like two people watch it, you know.
Yeah, I would keep it in just because I found that funny.
Okay, we're gonna leave it in. I hope you guys laughed at that if you're even still watching at this point. But the Ottawa Senators, they need a new owner. Eugene Melnyk, he's cheap, very cheap. Best way to put it. He's cheap. He's not a good owner. He's done many shady things in the past. There was this one story about the Ottawa Senators Foundation that I forgot exactly what he did, but like he himself profited off of like their stuff, which was like, it was like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, that's ridiculous. But he's done a lot of shady things in the past where he's not meant to be an NHL owner. The Senators would be well better off without him. I'm pretty sure you agree with me. Maybe not about the Hitler part, but about basically everything else I've said. So
yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. I agree with everything except for comparing him to probably the most despicable dictator in the history of mankind. Yes.
Oh my God. All right. So Ottawa Senators, they need a new owner for Christmas. Will they get it? Probably not. So moving on to the Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia Flyers, what I think they need for Christmas is they got some pretty big players on some pretty big contracts. Drew, Voracek, Hayes, JVR. Those players need to continue to produce. That's the big thing that Philly needs, I feel like. JVR is making 7. Hayes is making 7. Voracek's making 8.5, I think. 8, something like that. Drew's up there 7. He's over 7. I can tell you that for a fact.
Drew and Voracek are making nearly the same amount. Drew's at 8.275. Voracek's at 8.25.
Okay. And Hayes and JVR are both 7, right?
Hayes is 7.14.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yes, and JVR at 7 flat.
Those are some, and they all got term left, correct? Maybe Voracek's a little shorter, but they got term left. Those players, especially Kevin Hayes, he's got 6 years left at 7.1. He's got to produce. It doesn't matter if you're funny off the ice, Who cares? You got to produce on the ice. And he did that last season. He shut a lot of people up. I was at first when the contract was signed, I was like, oh, man, I don't know. That's a lot of money for Kevin Hayes. But damn, did he prove himself. He really did. I thought he had a fantastic season last year. He really fitted with the Flyers. He just got to continue, and he can't fall off. How old is he, 27, 28?
He is 28.
28. So he's in the prime of his career. It's going to take him up to, he's got, 6 years left. So it's going to be when he's 34, 35, whenever it falls. So a little long.
He played really good defensively as well.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
He's already taken up a leadership role.
Mm-hmm. So he could get an A in the future. He's a great locker room guy. A lot of people love Kevin Hayes.
He already has an A.
Oh, he already has an A? Okay, well, there you go. In his first season, he already has an A, which I'd say means a lot. So good for Kevin Hayes. Hopefully he keeps up his production. JVR, on the other hand, JVR didn't have a really fantastic season with the Flyers last season. What was his point totals? He didn't play. He was very inconsistent. He was hurt a lot as well.
He had 40 points in 66 games.
Okay, so that's not as bad as I thought it was, but it's still not JVR-like numbers. How many goals did he have?
19.
Yeah, nah, that's not good enough. JVR, I'm pretty sure he scored 30 the year before, if I'm not correct with the Leafs.
27. His highest
27.
goal total was 36 with Toronto.
Okay, so JVR's proved that he can score goals. JVR is a great net front presence guy. He's really good in front of the net, banging in goals, driving the net. He's got to continue to do that. He's got to put up JVR in this season. I'd say he's got to have 20 goals, I think. If he's healthy, he's got to put up 20 for that contract to be worth it, because he's making $7 million. That's a lot of change for James Van Riemsdyk. So hopefully he continue to produce. On the blue line, a couple big Provorov's a stud. I'm not worried about him. Giroux, though. Giroux and Voracek. What did they do last season? Giroux was slow in the playoffs. I know that.
Yeah, he had a horrible playoffs.
It's not even. I watched most of the games. Giroux played pretty decent. He just couldn't get anything to go in. It was I'd say mostly bad puck luck.
That's probably the best way to say that. Yeah, I remember watching him. He was
fine. No, Giroux looked fine. He just couldn't get anything to go his way. So just one of those unfortunate situations. I don't know how Voracek did though. How did he do in the regular season? And Giroux, actually.
Well, Giroux had 53 points in 69 games with 21.
Okay, that's not bad. He's got to keep that up. Giroux's getting up there. What is he? 32, 33 now?
32.
So he's getting up there. Voracek's also, I'm pretty sure, in his 30s. 31.
Voracek had, I don't remember the number I just read off. He had 56 points in 69 games. That might be the exact same.
It's okay. But, the Flyers were a good team last year. So with the Flyers, what they've done the past, 5 years, really good, mediocre. Really good, mediocre. Yep. Really good, mediocre. So they have to avoid having one of those mediocre seasons again. I think they're not going to have a mediocre season. I can see them playing really good, but those players got to contribute at a high level like they've been doing. If they start to fall off, shit can get really bad in Philly because those are some unmovable contracts. So what they need for Christmas, they need those players to contribute at a high level for years to come. So moving on to the Pittsburgh Penguins. What they need for Christmas, we've said it multiple times throughout many podcasts. They need a new GM. Jim Rutherford, he just isn't it anymore. He's made some really bad moves just this offseason alone. He traded Hornqvist for Colton Sevier and Michael Matheson, and didn't realize that he was taking on more money in the deal. Really? Also, he traded Nick Bukestad for a 7th-round pick. Okay. And he traded Matt Murray for, I'd say, a pretty lackluster return, a 2nd-round pick, and a nothing prospect.
His value is higher. You gotta be a fucking good salesman to be an NHL GM.
You do. That's a really good. You got to pitch your other player to the other team. You got to make them sound as best as possible, even if they're dog shit. But it's just, I don't know, man. He's done good in the past, but he's getting old. Maybe
time's done.
He's past his prime. It's time to let go. 16 and 17 are years gone. Pittsburgh Penguins, they aren't the same anymore. Letang's not as good. Crosby and Malkin are still producing at that high level. They don't have Fleury anymore. Matt Murray isn't what he was, and he's gone. Hopefully Tristan Jarry can – I think he's a pretty good goalie. He's pretty decent. He's a starter in the league. Hopefully he can, lead them back to the playoffs. Hopefully they can make it out of the first round. And hopefully they fire Jim Rutherford and get a new GM. And hopefully Crosby and Malkin, go out on a good note. You don't want to see them freaking stuck in Pittsburgh doing terrible like they were like Pittsburgh was in the early 2000s before they got Crosby.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't want to see that happen in the Pittsburgh again, where they were going to relocate to I think it was Houston. They almost relocated to Houston. I'm pretty sure either Houston or some other place. So hopefully they could fire Jim Rutherford and turn that team around because they're not looking too great right now. So moving on to my favorite team, the San Jose Sharks. What do we need for Christmas is to buy out Mark Edward Vlasic. No, I'm only kidding. We need forward depth and a lot of it.
Easily.
Our bottom six is not looking very good right now. We got, I'd say Donato might be the top six. Probably not. We got Sorensen down there. We got Marlowe. We have a lot of youth. We have like Bergman. What's his face? Gambrell's in there. Alex True's in there. We have a lot of young guys who just aren't proven yet. Like I'd love to see. We were rumored to get Connor Sheary a month ago. That never happened. We were in talks with Howell. That never happened. But even one of those two guys, they would really help out depth out. So that only leaves two spots for our youth to come and fill in. Because we got what's his face, Stefan Nason down there. He's a really solid fourth liner. Joel Kelman, he played okay at parts last season. Sorensen's a pretty decent bottom six forward. Marlowe's in there. Nieto's in there. We got some guys down there, but one or two guys to add to that to sort of keep the youth out of claiming most of those positions by default, I think would really help the Sharks. And maybe even if they can get a guy like Howard that could slide even in the top six to help at points would be fantastic. So what we need most is forward depth. So what do you think on that? What do you think the Sharks should do?
That's what if I'm not mistaken, I think I told you that before.
No, you did. No, you did. Yeah.
You got Couture, who, like I said before, I still think is a top 20 center in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Evander Kane, great winger. Timo Meyer, phenomenal. Tomas Hertl,
watch out
phenomenal.
for him next season. If he's healthy, watch out for Tomas Hertl.
Kevin LeBanc, he's still
got to bounce back.
I think Donato's going to fit in the top six.
I think he will too.
That's a pretty good top six in my opinion.
It's not bad.
But then you get outside of it, and it's just falls off immensely.
Yeah, it falls off. It's not playoff caliber. It's not.
Absolutely not. A playoff team, a Stanley Cup team is all the way down to the fourth line.
And just think, we went to the conference final 2 years ago. 2 years ago. That's not very long. And look what happened. We were terrible last year. Hopefully we can turn it around this year. I think it's more likely we do than don't. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. Now that Dallas is out of our division, I don't see that playoff spot being unattainable. I think we could get that fourth spot in the West. Whatever the hell division is called now. What is it called? Is it called the West? Yeah, it's the West. I think we could get in there. Because you got Anaheim, Arizona, LA, Minnesota. We got to beat out those teams. And I think we can do that. But hey, we'll see. Hopefully we can get another free agent. Maybe Howla, not Donato. What's his face? Sheary, maybe even Hoffman. I don't think that's very likely considering what happened with Erik Karlsson.
No,
so
that's the last person that would join that team. If he goes to San Jose,
did join the team
for 5 minutes. If he gets on the team, that locker room automatically
it's done, bro.
Horrible.
Doug Wilson wouldn't do that, especially because we got Karlsson locked up for so many years. You just don't want to upset him anymore and maybe disgruntle him to play any worse than he already is, because that's the last thing we need. So moving on from that, hopefully San Jose gets some forward depth, and I think they will. We'll see what happens. Moving on to the St. Louis Blues, and what they want for Christmas is they need Jordan Binnington to not be a one-hit wonder. Do you want to read me his stats from last season, please?
Yes, sir.
And we'll look at his playoff stats and his stats from the previous season.
Okay, so from his rookie season where he took second in Calder votes, he was 24, 5-1. He had a 9.27 and a goals against average of 1.89.
Jeez. Playoff
stats from that Stanley Cup run, you mean?
No, yeah, rookie year.
Hold on. I apologize. 1 second. It didn't have the playoff stats for reasons unknown.
Oh, it did? Didn't? That's weird.
No, it didn't. No.
What, cap friendly?
No, hockey reference.
Oh, geez, there.
Binnington. So Jordan Binnington, in the playoffs where they won the Stanley Cup, he had, dude, really, this, I don't know why it doesn't tell you.
Okay, so what was his stats for last season, regular season.
All right. Yeah, regular season for last season, he had a 912 save percentage and a 256 goals against average.
That's considerably worse than what he did the previous season. Is it still mediocre? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good enough. But Jordan Bennington, I don't think is as good as people make him out seem out to be. I think he's definitely a respectable starter. He's a starter in the league for right now. We'll see what happens next season. But one hit wonder is probably not the right words for it, but he's got to keep producing at that level. Do you think he can keep it up and stay in the league as a starter?
He's probably just gonna do what Matt Murray did, just like to a lesser extent. Matt Murray came in, carried that, not carried, but he like completely helped
He
the
was the backbone.
Penguins.
He was the backbone.
Yeah, so Binnington pretty much did the same thing, and now he's just falling off. Like,
Yeah. I think in a couple, what is he's on a 2-year deal? Did he sign a 2-year deal? I think he did.
He's got
2 years at what? 5.5?
4-4.
4-4. Okay. So it's not terrible, but hey, we can, if Bennington doesn't play good this season, we can see, because he's a cocky fucker. Have you seen like him talking shit? He's a cocky ass motherfucker.
Someone goes like when during his rookie run, like he just asked him if he's nervous. He just looks at him and goes, "Do I look nervous?" Like, I think
No,
he's wearing a
like
turtleneck too. Like, what do you?
no, he's a personality, but does he stay in St. Louis long term? I don't think they got any other real option as of right now. They got really no one coming up. I don't know what Billy Husso is looking like. I couldn't imagine it's too great, but maybe in a couple of years something pops up. Maybe he stays a little more longer. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, I think he's a bit of a one-hit wonder unless he proves us otherwise. So moving on to moving on to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Future, Jesus Christ. Last year's Stanley Cup winners, what they need for Christmas is cap space.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They have no cap space and they have to sign Cirelli and Cernak. But with the Tampa Bay Lightning, we're going to talk about a couple things here. So, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have lost Nikita Kucherov for the start of next season. He's undergoing hip surgery, so he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Don't know how long yet. So, that's 9.5 in cap space on LTIR. So they have 9.5 to sign Cirelli and what's his face? Cernak for right now. I think those players are worth 9.5.
Yeah,
I think they are.
Yeah, you can get within that.
Imagine if they had someone else too. Imagine if they signed like a Howla. That'd be ridiculous, bro. But that's the thing. When Kucherov comes back, what happens then? Do they just say, fuck it?
I'm going for agency.
And then like just move a Killorn or someone like that? But something else I want to add. Per Pierre LeBrun, Julian Breezeball has something in quotation marks, something cooked. But they're waiting for next season to start. I don't know what that means. I don't think you know what that means. I'm guessing maybe they have a trade lined up. Maybe what the Zetterberg for like Tyler Johnson deal that we kind of talked about last podcast. Maybe that's in the question. I really don't know. What do you think Breezeball could have up his sleeve here?
No idea.
That's what I'm saying. It could be Killorn. It could be even McDonough. I think that'd be a wrong move for them to make. It could be a McDonough. Oh, bro, I don't know. I think we're in store for a pretty fun couple weeks leading up to the NHL season starting because a lot of teams have a lot of moves to make. Barzal's got to be signed. Dubois got to be signed. Tampa's got to sign guys. Cirelli's got to sign. Edmonton's got RFAs to sign. There are a lot of guys, and there are a lot of UFAs out there as well. Hoffman, Howla, Hamonic, a lot of guys out there who are easily NHL players that could, I'd say most NHL teams would take on their team given the right circumstances. So what Tampa needs for Christmas, they need cap space. Simple as that. So moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I feel like you already know where this is going. What Toronto wants for Christmas is to get past the first round. That's what they need for Christmas. They haven't been able to do it in, what is it, like 20-something years are we looking at now?
Yeah,
right?
It's been, I think it's well over 20.
Well over 20 years. That's unbelievable. Like, that is unbelievable. They made the playoffs, they didn't make it last year. They made it the past 2 seasons before this year. They got knocked out by Boston in Game 7s both years. Oh, they made it 3 years in a row before this. They lost to Washington 3 years ago. They lost to Boston twice. They blew a 3-1 lead 2 years ago, and then they lost to Columbus in the play-in. Oh boy. Did the moves that Toronto make, will that propel them into a lengthy playoff run this year, you think?
I think
Especially with the
so.
new divisions?
They needed size, and they got it. They got VC, big kid. They got Simmons, who's no one's gonna fuck
Big
with.
boy. They got Joe Thornton as well.
They got Jumbo.
One of the best leaders out there who could, well, then again, he did get stripped with the captaincy a couple of years ago, but we'll ignore that. But one of the best leaders, I'd say, best locker room guys out there. Usually just everyone loves Joe Thornton. You don't hate that guy. So they added some real nice pieces. So hopefully that can propel them into a lengthy playoff run. Do I see it happening next season? I'd love to see them win the cup just so Joe Thornton gets a cup. But besides that, I
That's
really don't see it likely.
literally the only reason I want to see Toronto win a cup is because of Joe Thornton. No one else.
I'd like to see Tavares win a cup.
Actually, okay, yes, I stand corrected. John Tavares, I will nonstop rub that in the face of all 12 Islander fans.
Dude, I'd get a poster of Tavares lifting the cup, hanging on my wall.
Oh yeah, I'd give Tom a Tavares fucking autograph picture of him holding the cup.
Oh, bro, imagine.
Saying, "Hey Tom, thanks for being a fan. Go fuck yourself on it," something like that.
Like, you can't fault the guy. Like I said before, like, he carried your team for how many years? 8 years he carried your team for, and then he left, and then everyone hates him. Like, come on, let's be for real here. Really?
But back on topic, I think Anderson's capable goalie. I think Campbell's extremely capable backup. I think the defense. I think the addition of TJ Brody is going to be phenomenal.
Do wonders, yeah. It's going to do wonders for them.
And then, like I said, they really added size and had some underrated signings in the offseason as well. Like I said, that Jimmy VC contract might be very, very good if they play him properly with Kerfoot. And Simmons' size, I think, is going to be a huge factor. And I think, yeah, they could make a deep run.
I could definitely see it. They gotta put it all together. Whenever the playoff comes around, it's one thing or another. It's the goalie, it's the offense not producing, it's the defense crap in the bed. It's one thing or another. They just gotta put it all together. They got a good coach now, it's Sheldon Keefe, great coach. Hopefully they can just put it all together and they can go on a deep playoff run. They're not gonna win the cup this year, I don't think, but hey, anything's possible. Hopefully they do. Hopefully Joe Thornton gets his first cup. I think everyone would love to see that. So wish the best for Toronto in the next season. Hopefully they get what they asked for. We'll see, though. Moving on to the Vancouver Canucks. What they wish they had for Christmas was the UFAs that walked in free agency. They wish they had Markstrom. They wish they had Tanev. They wish they had Toffoli. They wish they had all those guys that walked. You know, it's just like it was unfortunate the way it happened. Unfortunate the way it went down. All of them ended up leaving after, we think they might keep maybe two of them. Like, they'd keep Markstrom, keep Toffoli, maybe let Tanev go, and they ended up losing all three. Like, we talked about it a lot, but, how do you think that's going to affect the Canucks going into next season?
They lost their – all right, goaltending I feel like isn't that big of a deal that they lost Markstrom because they have Demko and Holtby. I feel like that Demko and Holtby tandem –
it will be okay. It'll be pretty decent.
But they did lose a core defenseman, but they do have Nate Schmidt, so they replaced that. The thing that's not they lost to Foley, and they have essentially nothing to replace him with.
Yeah, their top six is. Do you mind pulling up Vancouver's top six right now?
Because top six is Besser, Horvat. This is no specific line. Besser, Horvat, Miller, Pedersen.
Pearson's in there.
Pearson is the top six. Yep. Okay, and Michael Ferland, I assume.
Ferland, I don't even know if Ferland's gonna play. He's had concussion issues. Maybe got debt, but that's not good enough, man. That's not good enough. You add Toffoli in there. That's an okay top six. We look at it now. It's a little shaky. Who do they have for young players? They have anyone coming up? I don't think so.
From the system.
Ooh, they have Vasily Podkolzin.
Yeah, they got Podkolzin and Hoglander, and Hoglander's in Vancouver.
Good. He's in Vancouver?
Yeah, and you want to know how I know that? Because some girl put on Canucks Reddit or something that she found fucking Nils Hoglander on Tinder in the Vancouver area. So
okay. So hopefully he's doing well down there, or up there rather, from here. So Yeah, no, those UFAs leaving really affects Vancouver. Hopefully they can make do with what they have. They got Jay Beagle making like 3 mil. They got Antoine Roussel making around three as well. So I hope that's worth it, Canuck fans. Jim Benning, good job, man. So, those avoidable contracts could have got you Tyler Toffoli, could have got you not Jake Marks, Chris Denev. So, kind of you only have one person to blame, Jim, and it's you. So, moving on to the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm gonna be honest. It's the same thing as the Tampa Bay Lightning. They need cap space. They have zero cap space. You had to go get the big fish, Vegas. You had to do it, and you did it. You got Petrangelo. But how's that really going to affect you? I've talked about this multiple times before. When you do this, when you always go out and get the big fish, players are not going to want to play there. They're going to want to be like, nah, why would I go to Vegas and then get moved in like 4 years or 2 years when there's someone better than me out there? Why not go to a team where I can have security, I can stay, and I can make a home? Like multiple players. Like I feel like everyone in Vegas has been in trade talks besides like Mark Stone and Petrangelo, obviously. Marchessault, Carlson, and like Theodore hasn't been in trade rumors, but like all of those guys who we consider core guys for Vegas they've been in trade rumors for the past like year. And it's like it's ridiculous. It's like really? And it's only going to continue, I feel like, because they're so cap strapped. So what Vegas needs is cap space. What do you think? Like, how do you think this is going to affect Vegas long term? Do you agree with me, or like, what are your thoughts on it?
You're right. They need the cap. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move soon. The season's coming up fast. They need the cap.
Who can they move though? Martinez? I think he's most
Martinez.
likely. He's making four.
It's either him or Pacioretty. It's one of the two.
Yeah. It sucked to see Patches go. He really found a home in Vegas. He's played really good. He was like almost he was over. He had like 30 goals last season. Like that's nuts. Once again, typical Pacioretty didn't really show up in the playoffs, but that's just how he is. Patrick, who do you see? Can you see him going anywhere? Like what team you think? Looking on my wall, maybe like
You mean Pacioretty going somewhere?
yeah. I mean, what about like a Minnesota? They don't really need a winger, but maybe they don't
I
really
feel like if
yeah,
anyone's going to take on Pacioretty, it's going to be someone that really needs him because he's
New
making
Jersey.
3 mil for 3 more years. New Jersey can get him.
New
What
Jersey.
for? I'm not sure,
They, they
but
have they have youth. They could throw some youth at Vegas, maybe a first and like a prospect. I don't know how much Pacioretty's worth, especially with that contract. Maybe it's negative value. I don't see that likely. Maybe they throw like a second round pick and they can get Pacioretty at full value or full cap hit. So maybe they throw something like that, but Vegas has got to make cap space. They can't continue to go and operate with zero cap space. So see what happens there. Moving on to the Washington Capitals. What they need for Christmas is they need Ilya Samsonov to be legit. And the only reason that they necessarily really need this now is because of Henrik Lundqvist. Eddie, do you want to get into it? Because I feel like you'd be better to talk about it than me.
yeah. So it came out a few days ago. I don't remember the specific date. I'm certain if you're a hockey fan, you've heard about this. Henrik Lundqvist will not be starting the 21 or the 20 to 20. No, I'm sorry, the NHL 2021 season. Um, if he's coming back mid-season, everything is unsure right now.
I heard he's done for the whole season.
I wouldn't doubt it just based on the shortened season.
I think there's no point in playing.
But yeah, Henrik Lundqvist is out for the season.
Terrible.
It's due to heart condition. I forgot what he said specifically it was about, but he's out for the season. If this is his career, that's
terrible. That's
like,
awful, bro.
dude, I have several Henrik Lundqvist jerseys like that. He's like clearly like all-time favorite player on the team. Like I can't even like imagine his career's ending like that. Like I want if Washington were to allow limited capacity, like and he were playing there for the season and last game of the year, I'm going because I don't know if he's ending it or not. But now we don't get that privilege, and we don't get to see him play this season because of this, which genuinely sucks. The entire NHL, all teams, all social medias, they all tweeted out they're behind him, and they hope they want to see him come back. Which
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. Like absolutely. Like, who doesn't want to see Henrik Lundqvist come back?
I think he will come back. I feel like he doesn't want to go out like that. Nobody wanted to see him go out like that. Like that was just absolutely terrible. I didn't see it coming. No one saw it coming.
No,
Nobody.
I don't even think that was a problem with the Rangers. I don't remember that coming up ever. Was that he had a heart issue?
Yeah, maybe it was just maybe an issue that especially he didn't want to risk, especially with COVID going around and everything. Maybe he's more more I can't think of the word. Yeah, more susceptible to the virus in any way or that. So I think it's better off that he does stay home, take maybe like a year off, maybe try to come back next season, maybe in the East, so he doesn't have to travel around a lot. Maybe he comes back to Washington, maybe like I don't know, a team like Pittsburgh, a team like that could use a goalie. We'll see though. But back to Ilya Samsonov. Do you think he can really be that legit starter that Washington think he is? And do you think Washington might go out and get another goalie, or think they roll what they have now? I don't know. I forgot his name. It starts with it's Vikif, something with a V. The backup goalie.
It's
not Phoenix Copley. It's not the goalie. He's young.
Vanek.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's something like that. I forgot. I know it was a bunch of V's. So I've heard that. I know, but it was. I got confused. What was his last name? What was his first? I was close with his first name. So I've heard the Washington GM or the coach. I think it was the coach. The new coach. I forgot who it is, but the new coach said that he had faith in the new goalie, Vitek Vanek, what the fuck he said his name was? Vanacek. So they have faith in him. So maybe they roll that young duo of Samsonov. Geez, I combined the names now. Samsonov and Vanacek. Am I right? Vanacek. Maybe they combine the two or not. Oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Worst case scenario, they go after veteran free agent such as Craig Anderson.
Ryan Miller, maybe. Maybe they bring back my boy Jimmy Howard and his like 870 save percentage from last season.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's see what happens with that. But I think Samsonov is legit. I think he's a legit star in the league. I wish they had like a Henrik Lundqvist would be perfect to play with him. That's the thing, bro. It was perfect. It just sucks the way it had to end. It's one of those deals. Tragic situation. Hopefully, we wish all on Twitter, we've sent out a tweet. All the best to Henrik Lundqvist in recovering. Hopefully he gets back on the ice as soon as possible, whenever he's ready. So hopefully we see that in the near future. But back to Washington and their Christmas list. Yeah, we think so. We hope Samsonov will be legit, and that's what Washington's hoping for Christmas. So moving on to the last team on the list. What do the Winnipeg Jets want for Christmas? They want defense. It's been talked about for, I'd say, maybe like a year now. Maybe even like 2. Jesus Christ, I'm getting freaking all mixed up now. Winnipeg's defense has always been, has always been a problem, especially since Dustin Byfuglien's left. They traded Trouba. Much other guys moved on. But like now, they have Pionk, Morrissey. They signed DeMello. Like that's 3 decent guys. They really don't have anyone else in there. They got a bunch of bottom 6 guys and a bunch of depth guys.
They got Heinola coming up.
Yeah, no, I was gonna get to that. So they got a bunch of younger guys coming up. Like they got Heinola coming up. They got I can't think of his name. They got that big guy, Luke Green. I'm pretty sure he's 6'7". He's huge. They got him coming up. He's young still. But just think, like they improved their defense with the Trouba trade. That really improved their defense, as much as you hate to see it. They traded Trouba and they got 2 defenders back. I think Heinola could crack the roster next season. They got Sami Niku as well. That's another name I forgot of. So they got a couple guys coming up, but they could really use that number 1 defender. If they had that Dustin Byfuglien type from like 4 years ago, Winnipeg's, I think, top 3 in the Canadian division, I'd say. No question about it. Because they got the best goalie in the league. You had a number 1 defenseman with that offensive core. Get out of here, bro. Winnipeg, I'd say they might even win that division. So at the deadline, maybe if Winnipeg could pick up a really sick defenseman, like maybe, I don't know who would be out there, but I can't think of anyone. But say a big name defender is out there at the deadline, I could see Winnipeg taking a pounce on them because they have assets too. They have Christian Vesalainen they can move, who really hasn't made an NHL yet and any impact. They can move him. He's pretty he's got some potential. They have a bunch of draft picks that they haven't traded. So a bunch of things that they can move. What do you think Winnipeg could do to improve their defense if they improve it?
I mean, I feel like this isn't the right move, but Laine's name is always out there in trade talks.
I would not move Laine. You'd have to get like a Zach Werenski type player back for like a Laine. You gotta get an amazing player. What do you think? Do you have any players in mind that they can go after, you think? Or He's freaking stuck like me.
If they move line A like that, then yeah, you said it. Werenski's a pretty big one. They can
Yeah.
get
Ooh, line for Orensky isn't even like that's not even that bad. Because Columbus could use some help up front. Winnipeg can use some help on the back end. That's not too bad. But that's just, the first name that came in my head. So do you think they make a move though at the deadline? Or maybe even pick up someone afraid, just like a Hamonic? Like they could really use the help.
yeah, they can go after Hamonic, Vatanen. Either one's a good idea.
I think Hamonic's more likely just based off that and is
Just
more offensive.
yeah, exact. No, yeah, you're right. Like I feel like just based on how they play, Hamonic is more likely. It a move at the deadline is only based on how they do because right now it's
Exactly,
up in
yeah.
the air and how they do.
I only see them making a move if there's the right player available. Say there's a young guy, like, I don't know, say Colton Parayko's out there for some reason. Say Colton Parayko, he's got years left on his deal, he's young. If there's a move like that available, then yeah, Winnipeg gotta go for it. But if a rental, say like, I don't know, say like Chara gets signed to a 1 year deal and someone's looking to flip at the deadline, if a player like that's available, then unless you're in really playoff contention, I don't see that happening. Hey, maybe the Chara to Winnipeg isn't that out of reach, honestly. Like, right? It's on in Winnipeg. It's probably not ideal for where you want to play, but you'll get playing time there. He'll play with Pionk probably, maybe even like Morrissey, and he'll definitely get ice time. And he'll have a decent shot to contend too, because Winnipeg is no slouch of a team.
No, absolutely not.
All right, but yeah, that basically wraps up our NHL team Christmas list. Yeah, it's basically gonna wrap up this podcast too. So Eddie, if you want to hit him with the outro real quick.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. Make sure you catch our previous podcast and stay tuned for future ones. In spirit of religious diversity, we will be doing every team's Hanukkah wish list next podcast. In all seriousness, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned. Watch all of our Chuckin Muffins clips.
And yep, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like on this video, comment even, turn bell notifications on if you do subscribe so you get notified every time we upload. There'll probably be a clip uploaded sometime this week. This podcast will probably go out sometime before Christmas. So, yeah, that's basically about it, guys. Thank you for watching and see you boys later.